All right, it's Thursday, December 1st, 7:30 in the morning. We're in the City Council chambers here at Brainerd City Hall. And I'll call to order the Economic Development Authority meeting for December. And then we'll go to roll call.
Bevins.
Here.
Beezer. Here. Kirsch. Here. O'Day.
Here.
Yeager.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Here. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Do we have
Move
a,
to approve Bevins.
Second, Beezer.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is the consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters listed are considered routine by the council, the commission, and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the commission votes on the motion to be adopted by a roll call.
Move to adopt Bevins.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, oh, it's a roll call.
Bevins.
Yes.
Beezer. Yes. Kirsch. Yes. O'Day.
Yes.
Yeager.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Next up is item 5. 5 is old business. 5A is consider the shared services agreements.
Would you like me to take that, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So at the August board meeting, the board authorized staff to negotiate extensions to the agreements that we have with Bladec, the City of Brainerd, DDBC, Swanson Haskamp, and Visit Brainerd. After that meeting, or after the goals had been adopted, I sent out drafts of the 2022 proposed to be 2023 contracts and asked the consultants to take a look at that scope and recommend new items in that scope of service based on the EDA's updated goals. Also, to ask what their request was for compensation for 2023. Listed below in that memo, you do have a chart there that compares the amounts that the contracts were for 2022 and compared to the requests for 2023. If the EDA elects to fully fund all 5 of these contracts based on the proposed budget, the EDA would need to use approximately $42.95 of your projected 12/31/2022 fund balance, which is currently at $67,895. So the recommendation, after reviewing the agenda last week with the EDA chair, there were several questions raised about the completion of the items in the 2022 scope of services. Each agreement included a scope, and I've also included all of those agreements, both 22 and proposed 23, in your packet. It detailed all the services, the deliverables in that scope of service. The recommendation actually is to ask the consultants to attend a future meeting to present their 2022 scope of services and what was delivered to the EDA. So just really to take a look at and make sure that the EDA was satisfied with the completion of the 2022 scope of services. So, Mr. Chair, happy to answer any questions of the commission.
All right, are there any questions?
There's a question. We're not making any decision today.
Yeah, so what I would like to see as a motion is to invite all of the consultants back to our next regularly scheduled meeting to present their deliverables from 2022 and discuss the 2023
So
service
move
contract.
I'll second.
And further, that we do adopt the agreement with the city of Brainerd so they actually put the meeting materials together for our next regularly scheduled meeting. That's included in the motion, all right. Is there any discussion?
Actually, I might want to leave that out. Let's just let it flow.
Let's see what happens. It's up to me to put it together.
I do agree with that motion. I just have one question in regards to the city, or regarding the city. Do you have an estimate of what you budgeted for hours working on the EDA to actual, so we can see the difference?
We did do that for the council, correct? It was in the council packet. I can look it up if you give me a moment.
I was just interested in what you guys thought the budget was, because it's increased, so I was wondering if you put more
That
time
did
into it.
reflect the potential, that was our actual services through and projected amount through the end of the year,
Okay.
was the $1,700.
And Mr.
$17,000, sorry.
10
Mr. Chair,
hours.
So then what we have been doing, me, Connie, James, Tony, is just tracking all of our hours. Our software has the ability for us to actually track the hours we spent on EDA activities. We did break that down. Happy to make sure that you have a copy of that.
Yeah, I was just interested in the budget versus actual, just because there was an increase, so.
All right, is that, you're satisfied there, Tony?
Pending, yeah, that you would send me that, yeah.
We send that out when you get a chance, Connie. Okay, any other discussion on the motion to invite all of the consultants back and to further adopt the agreement with the city of Brainerd? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Brings us to the next item, which is the 2023 budget. Connie.
Yeah, so, in the packet was the proposed budget for 2023. It did assume that all service agreements with the consultants would be requested for 2023. Staff will be prepared to make changes to the budget during the EDA meeting if you decide on different amounts. Additionally, the EDA has received an annual request of funding from the Initiative Foundation in the $5,350, and this has been placed in the budget. The staff is seeking guidance from the EDA as to whether to provide the requested Initiative Foundation funding in 2023. Jennifer, can you pull me the cord from underneath here so I can plug in and show the, we can put the budget on the screen? Thank you.
All right, so Connie,
Sean, can you make me live?
that 152,861, that's the maximum statutory
Correct.
levy that an EDA can receive.
Correct. And then we have a little bit for interest income, that's based on the 3-year average. And then, like I said, you have the professional services agreements, just, it's broken down for you, it'll all be one number in the budget that the council, that'll go to council. We have general liability insurance, this is just amount based on projections that we think for the city with the increase. Miscellaneous expenditures, just to give us a little leeway. And then we have the Initiative Foundation membership. And so, as Jennifer explained, that we would need, currently, if they would be all funded, it would be about using about $4,300 of fund balance. But now that we haven't approved these contracts, I guess, do you want to present a balanced budget and then amend your budget? Or how would you like to present the budget to the city council? Or what would you like to do at this point? I guess the first thing is maybe discussion on the Initiative Foundation funding.
Kelly?
Mr. Chair, I'd leave the Initiative Foundation in there personally.
Okay.
I'd take all of those professional services outside of the city of Brainerd, throw them into miscellaneous, and then I would move to approve it.
So you would, when you said miscellaneous, to get a balanced budget?
Yep,
Okay. So then we would just go,
that's what I would do.
Yep.
I would
Is that a
say-
motion? I'll take I'll
Yeah,
hear that
that is a
motion.
motion.
Yeah, we have a motion to,
Second it.
motion and a second to consolidate all of the consultants that we haven't agreed to contracts with yet into miscellaneous and present a balanced budget to the council. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I do have a question, since we are looking at having a negative budget, what is the?
Kelly just balanced it.
I just balanced it.
I understand, but assuming we make the agreements with all of these groups, we will be negative. So how do we address that negativity? Would we have to go back to the council and ask for money?
No, we have the $68,000 of fund balance, which is money we've raised or taxed over the years that hasn't been spent.
Okay.
So we have that basically in reserves, more or less.
so I just was able to update the budget. We see professional services is $1,700 for the city of Brainerd, or $17,000 for the city of Brainerd. You have the rest of miscellaneous, and therefore you have a balanced budget at this point.
That was good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next on the agenda, I didn't bring my computer, Sean, so I'm all at your will here. Meeting schedule for the calendar year 2023. So we're proposing, Jennifer, do you want to talk about this?
I can. So the discussion at the last meeting was that we would meet every other month instead of every month. And so in your packet, you'll see reflected meetings every other month, starting in February. My question is, given the discussion that you want to have with the consultants, would you like to hold a January meeting so we can wrap up those consultant agreements, or would you like to continue your every other meeting schedule and just have the consultants come in February?
Yeah, personally, I think having a January meeting to review 2022 with the consultants would be best, just to get it done with. And then, so just add a January meeting to these other 6 meetings and meet 7 times next year, I think is a good
Move to
schedule.
approve.
We have a motion and
I'll second it, but
a second to approve a January, February, April, June, August, October, December meeting schedule for next year. Mike?
I just want to clarify, like, if something comes up where a project needs approval, if we need signatures and motions, we can schedule a special meeting for that with the EDA, just so we're not delaying a project 2 months.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Way back in the olden days when I joined this commission, we pretty much just met
If you need it.
if we needed to. Yeah. So we'll continue that as well, but these will be scheduled to meet whether we need to meet or not. Which is generally we don't need to meet, but I digress, Kevin.
Just real quickly, this is more on just a personal schedule, but I am also a part of the Airport Commission, which meets at 9:30 following our meeting. So depending upon how robust our work schedule gets with the EDA, that potentially may be a conflict that I would need to just fret out. So that's the only thing to point out here. So hasn't been a problem so far, but if we go to every couple months, our packet may become fuller and may take up a little more time. That's all.
I do have one question. Since we're only meeting every other month, are the consultants still turning in their documentation every month where we'll get an update every month? So if we see anything that we need to address or feel that maybe there's some movement on a topic that we need to address, we could do that?
So thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Beezer. The draft of the scope or the agreement right now says monthly reports. We can certainly email those out every month when we receive them. They're due by the 25th, assuming that the commission approves those. Be
I think
happy
that
to do
would help keep things moving along.
Yes, Tony, let me know if you find anything in those reports.
I will.
Any other discussion on the motion to regularly schedule 7 meetings for calendar year 2023? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is Eric Charpentier. John, you taking that? Did Eric have a
Yes.
baby? He didn't text me.
Yes, he did.
Well, his wife probably did.
Well, he did. Yeah, his wife did. But
Somebody did.
yeah, there was a baby somewhere over there. So, baby's healthy, the main thing. So,
Good.
as you can see from his memo, not a whole lot going on. Probably the biggest thing to point out is he did meet with the developer or the engineer to walk through those buildings for the Thrifty White building. We don't have anything back from that yet. So, nothing really to update on any results.
Did he get a sense or a feel from the consultant on if they were blighted properties or not?
Not really. He said Thrifty White was a little more straightforward than the other building, is kind of how I understood it to be. So, not, from my understanding, he didn't have a clear direction
So,
on what he was leaning towards. Yeah, that's definite blame.
Has this come to this body? I know I learned about it at HRA. So there is a possibility of the development happening at 805 Laurel to also include the 2 buildings to the south of it. To the north of it, sorry, yeah, to the north of it, and then the building take up the entire half a block and include commercial on main floor. But there's some studies that we're going through. The HRA hired a consultant to look at whether the 2 buildings to the north of Thrifty and the Thrifty building itself could be considered blight for TIF purposes or, federal funding purposes. So that's happening, and that's the update that John just gave it. The guy came, he looked at it. Maybe, we don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
waiting
get
on his
something.
determination.
And when you pay him $10,000, he has to wait a couple weeks before he says yes or no.
You don't want to hand it in too soon. We didn't get any value.
There's some guy from the cities.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I can provide a little more detail. We expect a preliminary report by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. And pending the results of it, this next would go to the city council for their consideration of an HRA redevelopment TIP district. But I think there's some more discussions left to have.
So news to the plant shop in Dragon Forge, you might not exist in a couple months.
Plant shop is not.
Yeah, I think the plant shop's closed.
They just poured a bunch of money into that plant shop, though.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Hopefully not enough to make it not blight.
From the time the plant shop moved out till now, they've redone the ceilings, the entire interior's been redone. There's.
Oh, the Phelps boys have been in there, like, or had contractors in there?
After the day after they bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unwillingly, unexpectedly.
But they're in on,
Isn't there a
This
third owner on the little parking lot on the north?
There is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
is that Kevin Yeager?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's pending.
Okay, that's a good update, John. Anything else?
No, nothing else to report unless anyone has any questions for us.
Any questions of what's going on over at the HRA?
Thank you.
Thanks, John. So that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which isn't included on the left side of the bookmarks. No, that's no problem. I'm in no hurry. It's only 7:47. So that brings us, so we were at 7 staff reports. We did HRA director, and now we'll do Jennifer. Tony?
Do we have any updates from Bladek regarding the grant money, if that's been dispersed? Okay, yeah, okay.
All right, we'll hit you up after Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a whole lot of updates, but Connie is pulling up. We did find that spreadsheet
Oh, okay.
for
thank you.
your reference, so Connie is pulling that up so you can, I just pulled it from the website. If you go to the agenda item. I can't. Ugh.
Tyler, how about you just take this? We'll come back to Jennifer.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks. We did receive an update from the Initiative Foundation, requested it at the end of last week. We got it early this week. There are, looks like 7 projects that have been invoiced to DEED to receive funding from the Initiative Foundations. The process works is the Initiative Foundation vets the project, goes through all of the necessary approvals for the project, whether it's deemed eligible inside of their scope from the Initiative Foundation. Then they forward it to DEED. DEED then cuts checks back to the Initiative Foundation. Then the Initiative Foundation, as soon as they receive those electronically, then they cut checks to those projects. Some back and forth with DEED regarding a few of the projects, but according to the Initiative Foundation, things are moving along as quickly as they're getting information. They're approving it, getting it to DEED. Currently, the Initiative Foundation indicates they had 120 projects that were getting through the process with DEED, just their overall, with the full amount of the $4.2 million they received. So they indicate Brainerd is on task as far as what was requested through. They've had a handful of questions, but it looks like the communications back and forth has been really good with the groups that have been sent through to them. So they indicate no issues at this point. Everything is moving along as planned. We don't know if we're getting any more money back at this point, but they'll continue to work through some of these. They did have a change. I'll send out a request or an email once we receive that final information from the Initiative Foundation to our subcommittee. They just had a small change on one of the projects that was approved. Kevin didn't like roofs, so it was a roof that was removed, and plumbing and heating and electrical was included. So we're getting updated numbers on that. We'll get that to the subcommittee as soon as we have that. The Initiative Foundation indicated to the grant recipient that was an eligible change as long as the documentation and the bids came back correctly. So just one change, the dollar amount request, none of that is changing. They're working their their new requests inside the funding that they had received. So it seems at this point, everything is going pretty well. But we've had to reach back out to about 4 or 5 now, just with some additional requests or questions that came from the Initiative Foundation. So that's the update we have.
Okay, so do you think we're able to allocate all the funds that were potentially given to us? Do we have enough people or qualified?
To this point, yes, I would say
Okay.
that that's an accurate statement.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Any other questions on the Main Street grants? No? Okay, back over to Jennifer.
All right, thank you. So just a couple of updates. We do have a meeting scheduled with the consultants next week for our last quarterly meeting of the year. I'm sure we'll be talking about these agreements and then just things moving forward. I did reach out to VCV a couple of weeks ago to just see where we're at as far as the closing is concerned. Right now, they're just trying to resolve some issues with the containers. They did switch their method of how they will be mining cryptocurrency from electric generation to a submerged. So that is part of the reason for the delay. They did invest quite a bit of money with BPU, so I am still confident that they're moving forward, but we'll see what happens.
Submerged liquid would require an enclosed building, so that's probably why it's taking longer.
I think their most recent update had like little chicken coop looking turkey farm buildings to farm in.
And it
James?
was more efficient. That's probably why they won't do it.
I believe they could still be in the containers. So I think what was proposed would still be part of it. I'm sure there's some type of warming process to keep that from freezing. But I know they're still working out with BPU how they'd get all of that, all the water to there as well. So I think that was part of the engineering portion of it as well.
Did they figure out how to get that guard shack inside the fence, do you know?
Still working on that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's to get a lot of engineers in on that one.
I'm not sure it can be done.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, that brings us to commissioners' comments or further questions. Mike,
Nothing to add today.
Kevin,
Nothing to add, sir.
Tony,
Nothing to add.
Kelly,
I'm good.
Marie.
I'll just shout out some activities going on downtown. We have hometown holidays going on through December. Sorry. We have some upcoming events in downtown that I'll just highlight. So this Friday is our 3rd annual window walk going from 5 to 7. So I believe the mayor will be out there lighting the tree. And we'll have stores will be open late this coming Friday. December 10th, we have Santa's workshop going on and just all sorts of different specials and things going on at stores in downtown. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll head downtown and check that out. The window walk is always a good one. My second favorite downtown event.
Is the whole tree gonna light this year?
No. You have to go to Baxter for that.
You gotta talk to the squirrels. Just talk to the squirrels.
See if the squirrels ate through the... All right, and I have nothing further to add. It's already 7:54, so
To adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Still had some.
So we found that file, how we
Yeah, you were going to email that to Tony, and everything was going to be good in the universe.
Okay,
Perfect.
okay.
We have a motion to adjourn
Second.
and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we're adjourned. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you in